Last Saturday at the Prudential Center in Newark, New Jersey, on the undercard of Shakur Stevenson versus Artem Hurt Union, Shaquie Ice Water Foster, a guy who I've been trying to get on the show to interview, was on the receiving end of what I believe to be a robbery so shocking and so historic that it could just be the biggest robbery in boxing history. I mean, this thing was so flagrant, knuckleheads, that as a fight fan, not just boxing and MMA and kickboxing, of course, I'm a kickboxing promoter. As somebody who's been involved in combat sports for a very long time, I'll reiterate, and I don't say this lightly, this may have been the absolute worst robbery that I've ever seen in the history of combat sports. And what's kind of driven me nuts about it, and I know I'm a little bit late. We did discuss it on the live post-fight, but I know I'm a little bit late to talk about this independently. But what's really disgusted me about this, and you also saw it a lot in the Ryan Garcia situation, is all the people that are on social media justifying this, the way they were justifying Ryan Garcia's behavior and calling his PED use unintentional despite his conduct, which I've been calling out on this channel forever. And it was only after he went on his crazy racist rant, right, that people started to call a spade a spade. And I'm wondering for Shaquie Foster, when people, or what sort of thing has to happen to get people to call a spade a spade. I've seen all kinds of justifications, mostly people saying, well, he should have been more aggressive, and he shouldn't have been running, and he should have been throwing more punches. Listen, knuckleheads, that all goes out the window when you understand boxing scoring criteria. Okay, I'm going to go over that first, and then I'm going to read you guys some of the statistics in case you don't believe in the boxing scoring criteria. So the boxing scoring criteria, first and foremost, we look at effective strikes, right? We look at effective punches. Whoever's landing the more effective punches, that's who's winning the round, right? If the effective punches and strikes are tied, we go to a second tier, basically volume. Who's throwing more, right? So if you think the effective punches are about the same, who's throwing more? And then third, we should look at ring generalship. Ring generalship, and then maybe aggression in that same tier, right? So right off the bat, it doesn't make sense at all. The more effective punches in the fight were absolutely Shaquie Foster. And the volume was not even close. 109 shots landed by Icewater Shaquie Foster to Robson Conceição's 76. Knuckleheads, that's 33 more punches landed for you mathematicians out there. Crazy. Let's look at the percentages. 19.4% of Shaquie's jabs landed and 33.7% of his power shots, right? Which is what we should be focusing on for, typically as the primary criteria of effective strikes. Versus, I said 19.4% and 33.7% of power shots versus 7% of jabs and 15.7% of power shots for Conceição. So his percentage landed was less than half of Shaquie Foster's, and he landed 33 less punches over the course of the fight. The only way in looking at boxing scoring criteria for anybody to justify any sort of win over Shaquie Foster is if all the judges determined that the effective strikes were even or they went towards Conceição. But if they determined they were even, then they would have had to say to themselves, well, the volume is also even. So now we got to go to the third tier, which Shaquie clearly had the ring generalship. Let's focus on aggression. I mean, listen to what I'm telling you here. You got to go so far out of your way. You got to go so far out of your way as a judge, in my opinion, to say that Shaquie lost this fight. Unless, for whatever reason, and I would love to have these judges explain it to me, you think Conceição was landing the more effective punches. Now, I just cannot for the life of me remember a single point throughout the entirety of this fight where Conceição landed something so significant on Shaquie Foster that I would even label it an effective strike. So for me, considering that I thought this fight was almost a complete shutout, maybe give Conceição the first round like the broadcaster did. I think that's what they did. Considering it was for a 130-pound WBC title, and considering that the judges somehow ruled it a split decision with two going 116, 112 for Conceição and one going 115, 113 for Shaquie, this has got to be the biggest robbery. This has got to be the biggest robbery that I've ever seen in my life as a combat sports fan. And I don't feel like I'm exaggerating. I've been digging throughout the history, thinking back on it. I mean, I could name some pretty bad robberies. But in a fight that's a title fight where you think the opponent maybe won one round, maybe you could squeeze one round in there for him. For two judges to see the other guy winning by 4, and the last one only having Shaquie up 115, 113, it was in what was essentially a shutout, is the most ludicrous, outrageous, disgusting, ridiculous result I've ever seen and robbery that I've ever seen in the history of boxing. I hope that this scoring gets reviewed. I hope something is done. And if not, it's a damn shame. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Like the channel, subscribe to the channel, of course, join to help me continue to build Fighters Rep. Don't forget, Fighters Rep tickets for Fighters Rep 25 and 26 are on sale right now at FightersRep.com. If you can't make it, the only way to watch the events live is to join the channel. It's just $9.99 a month. You help me build this channel and also build our full-fledged kickboxing promotion. I look forward to hearing what you guys have to say about this, because I'm not even exaggerating when I say this was the saddest and most horrific and worst robbery I've ever seen in my life.